विद्यार्थ्यांनो, पुन्हा एकदा माझ्या चॅनलमध्ये सर्वांचं स्वागत आहे. आज आपण पहिलाच व्हिडिओ ग्रामरचा बनवत आहे आणि ग्रामरमध्ये जो सर्वात महत्त्वाचा पार्ट आहे, कोणतीही लँग्वेज व्यक्त करण्यासाठी सर्वप्रथम सर्वात महत्त्व असते वाक्यांना. त्याला इंग्रजीमध्ये म्हणतात सेंटेन्सेस. आणि इंग्रजीमध्ये आज आपण काइंड्स ऑफ सेंटेन्सेस बघणार आहोत. काइंड्स ऑफ सेंटेन्सेस आर व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट टू एक्सप्रेस द लँग्वेज, and if we want to converse with other or communicate with other, kinds of sentences play very important part for the conversation of English or other languages. Now, the beginning of sentence, a group of alphabets is called a word. Then what is sentence? Sentence means a group of words which gives a sense. It's called a sentence. Okay, now there are total 5 kinds of sentences. The first is assertive sentence, then interrogative sentences. Here interrogative sentences are classified into two types of sentences. First, WH question, and second, yes or no type question. Yes or no type question is also called a verbal question. Then third is imperative. Imperative is also called the command. And fourth is exclamatory sentences. And last is optative sentence, which is not mentioned here. Now we will explain the assertive sentences. It is also called declarative sentences. First of all, the definition of assertive sentence or declarative sentence. Generally, assertive sentence begins with the subject and gives some information and ends with full stop. It's called an assertive sentence or a declarative sentence. Again, the definition: assertive sentence generally begins with subject, gives some information and ends with full stop. So it is called an assertive or a declarative sentence. Now let us look the example of assertive sentence. The first sentence: we are going to school. We are going to school. This sentence begins with we. We is the subject. Are going means some information is given here, and this sentence ends with full stop. So it is example of assertive sentence. Now second, Rani always comes late. Rani always comes late. What does this sentence begin with? This sentence begins with Rani. Rani is the subject and some information is given here, which is the information that Rani generally comes late to school, and this sentence is also ends with full stop. So it is also example of assertive sentence. Okay, understood the assertive sentence. Then the second is interrogative sentence, and it is divided into two parts. First, WH question. Now the definition of WH question. WH question generally begins with WH words. What? WH question begins with WH words and frame the question or ask a question and ends with question mark. Again, the definition: WH question generally begins with WH words, frames the question and ends with the question mark. So it is called WH question. Now the example of WH question. Look the first sentence: why are you going so late to school? Why are you going so late to school? Here this sentence begins with why, means WH word, and a question is asked, the reason of going late to school, and it ends with the question mark. So it is also example of WH question. Now second, when will you come back from school? This sentence also begins with WH word when and asks a question and ends with the question mark. So it is also the example of WH question. Then the third, yes or no type question. It is also called verbal question. Now the definition: Yes or no type questions definition. Yes or no type question begins with auxiliary verbs, frames a question and ends with the question mark. Listen, which are the auxiliary verbs? First, to be, am, is, are, was and were. Then to do, does, did. Then to have, has, had. Then auxiliaries or the model auxiliaries, shall, will, can, could, may, might, must and should. These are the auxiliaries. Now the example, this is also called yes or no type because the answer should be given in yes or no type only. First example, may I go out, sir? Here the permission is asked and this sentence begins with may and ends with question mark and the answer could be given into only yes or no type. Now the second, can I come with you? Here permission is asked and the question begins with can and ends with the question mark. Then the third sentence, are you going to school? Are you going to school? This sentence begins with to be form are, ends with question mark and the question is made only in the form of yes or no type. So it is the example of yes or no type question. Then the third type of question is imperative sentence. It is also called the command. Now the definition of imperative sentence. Generally, imperative sentences begin with basic form of verb. Means the main form of verb. म्हणजे क्रियापदाच्या मूळरूपाने या वाक्यांची सुरुवात होते. It gives order, advice, warning, command or ask a request and permission. So it is called imperative sentence or the command. Look the examples. Go out. Permission is given here. Come in. Again permission is given here. Please give me your pen. Request is made here. Read the poem aloud. Order is given by a teacher. Then complete your homework. Here again order is given. Means the imperative sentences generally begin with basic form of verb. Gives order, advice, warning, command and asks, makes, request and gives permission. Then the fourth type of sentence is exclamatory sentence. Exclamatory sentences definition. Exclamatory sentences generally begins with what, how or the sudden feeling words. Sudden feeling expressing words. Which are these? Alas, ah, oh, bravo, oops and ends with the exclamation mark. It is called exclamatory sentence. Now look the first example. How late Rani came. Here this sentence begins with how, means how and ends with exclamation mark and sudden feeling is also expressed here. Then the second one, what a famous boy Sachin is. What a famous boy Sachin is. Here the sentence begins with what and sudden feeling expressed here and ends with exclamation sign. Then last one, how lucky I am. How lucky I am. Here the sudden feeling is expressed and this sentence begins with how and ends with exclamation mark. Okay, in this way we have completed our 4 kinds